Good evening, families, and welcome to our parent university. My name is Kyron Harvell. I am the director of the STAR Grant. The purpose of Parent University is to connect parents to community resources. We see parents as key stakeholders and value the strengths and recommendations that you bring to make us the best school district possible. Tonight, we are very fortunate to have the Lansing School District Nursing Department here. We have Nurse Hoff, Nurse Trumbull, and Nurse Wheeler. So I will turn it over to our nurses. Let me share a screen here. They have a wonderful presentation for you, and we will begin our Parent University session. Thank you guys again for being here. Nurses, please let me know when it's time for the next slide. Would you guys like this to be in the regular mode, or are you okay with it like this?
However you like it is fine with us.
Okay, let me see if I can do this real quick. 1 second here. This okay? All right. Just say next when you're ready.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I would like to start by saying thank you to all of you for joining us for this important conversation. We know it's busy at home, and we appreciate you being with us today. My name is Randy Trumbull, and I am a school nurse in the Lansing School District. You may recognize me a little or a lot if you have a student at Gardner, Forest View, or Everett. I work within a wonderful group of nurses, and together we cover student health for all 11,000 students of the Lansing School District. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we do, and then you'll hear from a few of the other nurses also about how we do it and how you can support your child's health in the school setting. Next. So, what exactly does our school nurse team consist of? Later, we'll break it down into more detail for you, but here is a general idea of our makeup. The Lansing School District currently has 11 nurses, as I mentioned earlier. We cover the Beekman Center, 3 high schools, all 23 of our elementary schools, our Center for Success, as well as a large population of pre-K students enrolled in GSRP and ECSE programs throughout our buildings. The nurse department itself is housed within the Office for School Culture. 3 of the nurses, including myself, maintain our office within a particular school building. Next. By now you may be wondering, what does my school nurse do? Many people imagine us as we're portrayed on TV, placing band-aids on cuts, applying ice packs to bumps and bruises, and we do those things. But I would like to also share with you about how we impact student health behind the scenes. Next. One of our primary duties as a school nurse is to operate as a liaison between home and school to reduce the impact of chronic and acute health conditions on academic performance and attendance. In other words, we help students who are affected by health conditions and their families navigate the school system on a daily basis so that they can be successful in school in spite of asthma or diabetes, for example. We attend IEP and 504 plan meetings when appropriate. We do this to help families advocate for their child's needs at school from a health perspective. And we also can connect families with providers such as dentists, optometrists, primary care providers, and resources such as food or clothing providers, for example. We also help to coordinate in-school community resources, such as the mobile dental bus that many of you are likely familiar with, and the immunization clinic events that you have hopefully been hearing about most over the last few weeks. Next. When a student is having a mental health emergency, like expressing ideas about hurting themselves or someone else, you may hear directly from us as we try to get your child connected with community-based emergency mental health services. We are also assisting students in managing their chronic health conditions or other special health needs such as diabetes. We create care plans for these students with their parent or guardian, and that plan is a very detailed outline of steps to be taken by staff that will keep the student healthy and safe at school. The care plan involves anyone who may be involved at the time of emergency and is signed off on by you and the child's ordering physician. We work constantly with teachers and staff in school to help them understand how to accommodate students with health conditions. Next. As healthcare providers in school, we always want to maintain acute awareness of any student with a health condition that falls under what we often refer to as the Big Four. These include diabetes, asthma, food allergies, and seizure disorders. These are all common childhood health conditions that may potentially require emergency action on our part, as they can be life-threatening when exacerbated. We've got the FARE form here to show you an example of an emergency care plan that we may create together with you, the parent, and the physician of a student who has a potentially life-threatening food allergy. This form is widely used between physicians and schools because it is easy to refer to in an emergency when we need to act fast to assess symptoms and treat the student quickly. Emergency care plans like this one are reviewed with you and your child's physician every school year so that we can always be sure to have the most up-to-date and accurate information available to keep your child safe, since health status can change over time. Next. Another very important aspect of our role in school and community health is monitoring the immunization status of students in school and making sure that they are fully immunized according to Michigan law for attending public school, or that parents who opt out of immunizations for their child have a health department issued waiver on file with their school. You can expect to hear from us in the fall and in the winter during the years that your child's immunization status is being monitored, if they are not up to date. We contact you via mail and by phone until your students' immunizations are complete, or until we have a waiver on file so that we can maintain healthy children at school and so that the Lansing School District can maintain compliance with the law. We also collaborate with the Ingham County Health Department to hold immunization events in our school communities to make it more convenient for families to access the shots that they need for school. Yesterday, for example, we held an immunization event at the Welcome Center, and that was a great success. On October 10th, there will be a drive-up flu shot clinic event at the health department in DHS building in the parking lot for anyone who is 11 years old or older. And with that, I would like to hand the presentation on to Miss Becky Hoff, another great school nurse, who would like to talk with you about our next topic. Oh, Becky, I think you're muted.
Okay. Hi, my name is Becky Hoff. I'm the school nurse for the GSRP preschool program. And I also work with Randy over at Gardner International School 1 day a week. I want to thank you for joining us this evening. As Randy said, it's a busy time for families, so thanks for taking the time to come watch us tonight. So who is my school nurse? You may be wondering who the nurse is for your child or for your children. Could we have the next slide, please? We have a list here. I think that's a partial list, though. We may have to go to the next slide as well. We have a list of the names of the nurses. You'll see that some of the nurses, Mary Beth Braddock and Colin Cox, also Randy, just have one school. That's because those schools have a full-time nurse. The other nurses have several schools listed. That's because those schools have part-time nurses, so they're responsible for more than one school. So when the school buildings are open, those other nurses are driving around between school to school. Currently, we're still available for the same number of schools. Could we just go over to the next slide as well so families could see? Thank you. So you can see we have all the buildings listed there, and hopefully you can identify your child's school and their nurse. And I think if you want to contact your nurses, probably the best way currently is to call the school secretary. They'd be happy to share our phone number and our email addresses. So I'll just give you a moment to look at that and make sure that you can find out who your nurses are. Okay, should we do the next slide? Okay, so what can I do to help my child at school? So we always invite you to communicate with the school nurses. We love to hear from our families. And at this time of year, it's really important if you are able to get a hold of us and let us know of any health issues or health concerns you have for your child. And we can work with you directly to make sure we can keep them safe and healthy in school. So again, either calling us by phone or sending us an email is perfect. We also have a student health form, which I'm going to show you in a moment. And some of you may have received that form by mail already, and we're also working on trying to email that out to you so that you can fill that out and send it back to us electronically. That form, maybe we could go to the next slide and look at it. It's a little bit small, but the form will give you an opportunity to check boxes indicating any diagnoses that your student may have, perhaps diabetes or asthma or seizures. There's a space for adding medications they may be taking, any allergies and what those allergies are to, and space to write any additional information that you may want to share with us. We do ask that you fill out the student's name and school and sign the bottom because it sometimes takes a little while for that form to make it to the appropriate nurse. So that would be helpful to us. Once we have that information, either from the student health information form or from talking to you directly, we use it in a number of ways. Primarily, we will make the emergency care plan or the healthcare plan that Randy was talking about before. We love to have your input there. Obviously, parents know their children better than anyone else. So we love to have your input, and we like to make an emergency form that we can then share with the appropriate staff and give your child the best healthcare that they need and keep them as safe as they can during the school day. Could we have the next slide, please? Okay, I wanted to talk a little bit about medications. Obviously, there are some occasions where we need to give medication in school. Many medications, students that take medications once or twice a day, typically that can be done at home. But it may be that they need a lunchtime dose, or they have as needed medications, perhaps like an inhaler or an emergency medication like an EpiPen. And then we have other students that maybe have procedures that need to be done in school, or children with diabetes that need specific care. So we follow the state of Michigan rules, which means that we ask you when you provide the medication to please send it in the original container with the pharmacy sticker that would have their name, the name of the medication and the dosage. And in addition, we need to have a medication authorization form. Perhaps you could show that on the next slide. This is a form that physicians are very familiar with. The physician the healthcare provider, so either the physician, the nurse practitioner, or the physician assistant, will fill out the top section with the child's name and date of birth, the medication number, medication name, the dosage and how it's given, and any other information. Equally important, the very bottom section, we ask you to fill out, the parent or guardian. And that bottom part is you giving the school staff permission to administer that medication. So both the top and bottom sections of that form have to be completed. That form does have to be completed every school year. So if you had provided one last year, we would need a new one provided this year, and then another one next school year. And you may be familiar with it in yellow. Often we provide a yellow form. So the medications in a school that just has a school nurse there every day, most typically that school nurse would be administering the medication. In schools that do not have a full-time nurse, they will have an assigned staff member who will be responsible for administering that medication. Oftentimes it's the school secretary, but not always. But whoever the staff is, they've been trained in safe medication administration, and they're all following the same state rules, so they know how to safely take care of giving out that medication. One other thing I wanted to remind you is that the medication should not be transported to school on the bus by the student. That needs to be delivered to the school by a parent or another adult. Next slide, please. Okay, unfortunately, Sometimes we have to send your child home sick if they're sick. So we do ask you to please provide us with the most up-to-date phone numbers that you have. We understand that people's phone numbers change frequently, so if you could just be mindful of keeping us up to date with your phone numbers, and also with the phone numbers of the emergency contact people that you've told us about. For the emergency contact people, we do ask that you select those that live fairly closely and have transportation, because we do require that you pick up your child within 30 minutes of being notified that they're ill. So as life happens and things change. So during the year, if you realize that maybe one of your contact numbers has moved out of the area or no longer has transportation, you might want to review who you have on that list. And please just send in a note to school or give us a call or give the school secretary a call and just let us know what the updated numbers or people are. Thank you. And next slide, please. And finally, I just wanted to talk a little bit more about immunizations. I know that Nurse Randy talked about that a little bit, but we do, full immunization is part of, is a requirement for school attendance. And as Randy mentioned, another option would be to get a waiver either from the doctor because of a medical reason, or to go to the health department and get a religious or philosophical waiver. Either those or full immunization is always required. So if the nurses find that any of the students are missing any immunizations, we will contact you either by phone or by letter. And we can work with you either, if you don't have a primary care physician, we can work with you to find a clinic or somewhere where you can have your child receive those immunizations. And that's something that we're working on at this time of year and will continue to do throughout the school year. I think that, yeah, I've covered several things, but not in great depth. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask at the end during our question time. And I'm now going to pass you on to Sue Wheeler. She has some videos to share with you. And I thank you for your time.
Nurse Wheeler, would you like for me to make you the host to share these videos? Just go to the next slide.
We can just go to the next slide. I'm going to just say a little something first. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks. I'm Sue Wheeler, and I may have seen some of you at Eastern or Center for Success or Geyer Park or Sheridan Road or any number of places around the district. And I hope as this year continues and hopefully we'll be back together in the buildings that I'll see you all again. We talked a little bit about what we do and things that you can do so we could partner together to make your child have the most success at school. We know that healthy habits are going to transfer into school and lead to success at school. So we wanted to spend just a few more minutes talking with you about the main ingredients for keeping your child healthy, which is rest, nutrition, and physical activity. Rest is, I'm going to say, one of the most common discussions that we have with parents, especially in our pre-K through 3. We talk a lot about issues with bedtime and sleep. And then with the older students, that topic comes back again because sleep seems to be disturbed again. So we wanted to start with just a short video about some sleep tips and then continue on from there. So we'll go to the next slide and the video.
Can you guys hear it now?
Losing sleep over your child's sleep? You're not alone. The reality is that sleep problems in children are common, and even more common in kids with autism, developmental disabilities, and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. As a parent, you know that sleep problems can affect the whole family, creating stress and lost sleep for parents too. What are some common sleep complaints? crying at bedtime, or refusing to
Okay, it's going to work.
We're gonna-
losing sleep over your child's sleep? You're not alone. The reality is that sleep problems in children are common, and even more common in kids with autism, developmental disabilities, and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. As a parent, you know that sleep problems can affect the whole family, creating stress and lost sleep for parents too. What are some common sleep complaints? Crying at bedtime or refusing to go to bed unless a parent stays with them. Moving to their parents' bed during the night. Sleeping in car seats, strollers, and basically anywhere but their own bed. Here's the good news. Many sleep problems can be improved, if not completely resolved, with simple changes to the bedtime routine and environment. Sleep hygiene means good habits that promote sleep. Here are our top tips for good sleep hygiene. Make sure bedtime and morning wake up is around the same time each day, including weekends. Keep bedrooms cool, comfortable, and dark. Here's a tip. If you can read a book, the room is too bright. Beds are for sleeping, not playing or watching TV or playing on tablets or devices. No drinks or food with caffeine in the late afternoon or evening. No big meals right before bed. Try relaxing activities in the evening to wind down. A warm bath or reading are good bets. Keep the bedtime routine activities in the same order every night so it's predictable. Make sure it's enjoyable and short. Here's the big one. Keep screens out of the bedroom. There is research saying that devices in the evening make it harder to fall asleep and stay asleep. Remember, talk to your child's family doctor if you have any concerns about your child's sleep. Some medical conditions cause sleep disturbances, and medications can interfere with sleep too. So it's very important to speak with your child's doctor about these concerns. If the sleep hygiene changes aren't improving their sleep, ask about having a sleep behavior assessment.
Next slide, Nurse
Okay.
Wheeler.
I'm going to stick here just for a minute. You know,
Okay.
sleep seems like such a basic thing, but it's one of the big factors that we notice at school. Kids that are tired have a much harder time attending in class. They tend to get in trouble more. They sometimes even fall asleep at school. So some of these tips, although they seem very basic, most parents will tell you sleep is one of the most difficult and challenging things with kids of all ages. As the kids get older, you're going to hear them saying, I don't need sleep. I want to stay up late. I'm playing video games. I don't need that much sleep. And we actually find that that's just not the case. They still need sleep. The kids that are high school age, really by 10 p.m., we want to see you doing these sleep routines and get them off screens and into bed and asleep. Even the kids that say, I couldn't possibly go to sleep, I'm not tired. When you get into this routine, you'll find they quickly do go to sleep, and their day at school goes so much better. So, okay, next.
Next slide after this one, or this okay?
This is good right here. This is a concept that's going to include the physical activity and nutrition. This is the 5210 project that actually came out of Mayo Clinic, and it's really a neat, simple way to remember what are some overall healthy choices I can make with and for my child. We're going to see this video and then we'll have a little brief discussion afterwards. Okay. And we should be able to, yep, there we go.
This presentation has information about practicing 5210 every day for your health and well-being. If you have any questions about this program, talk with your healthcare provider. What is 5210? Well, 5210 helps you remember to eat healthy, fit in more physical activity and exercise, and drink less sugar. The number 5 stands for eating more fruits and vegetables. Eating fruits and vegetables helps provide your body with vitamins and minerals, which are very important for your growth and health. You can fit more fruits and vegetables into your life. Don't be afraid to try it, mix it, and slice it. Follow the 3-bite rule and try at least 3 bites of each vegetable or fruit you eat. Did you know it can take 7 to 10 tries before you like a new food? You can also dip fruits and vegetables in low-fat dressings, yogurt, or even peanut butter. Go ahead and try it. Add fruits and vegetables to the foods you already enjoy. Add vegetables to your pizza, soup, or noodles. Add fruits to cereals and other breakfast foods. Go ahead and mix it. Having vegetables and fruits already cut into small pieces or sliced can help make it easier to eat healthier because they are ready to grab as you go about your busy day. And if you prefer crunchy over soft foods, it's best to eat fruits and vegetables fresh or lightly steamed. The number 2 stands for lessening your time in front of screens, such as a television, computer, cell phone, or an electronic game. This is hard in a world that has many computer and electronic devices, but lessening your time in front of screens can help you live a healthier life. To help lessen your television watching, don't watch television or get on your computer or phone until after you have finished your homework and chores. Also, don't watch television when you eat. Make meals family time and talk about your day. It can be helpful to use a timer to help keep track of how much time is spent in front of a screen. It can also be helpful, educational, and fun to make television watching a family activity. Family members can talk to each other about the program being watched and ask questions and share points of view. Number 1 stands for getting at least 1 hour of physical activity every day. Moving 1 hour every day helps you feel better, keep a healthy weight, and strengthens your heart. Physical activity or exercise also makes the total you stronger. There are lots of fun ways to move about. You can go on walks with your family, play with your pet, take a bike ride, dance, jump rope, walk or run, rollerblade, hike, snowshoe, or make snow angels. Moderate physical activity includes doing things where you breathe hard, like hiking or dancing, while vigorous physical activity means doing things where you sweat a lot, such as running or playing soccer. It's important to do both types of activity every week. The number 0 is for drinking water and low-fat milk instead of drinks with lots of sugar, such as soda or pop or energy drinks. Although soda and pop might taste yummy, it gives no nutrients to your body. Water is an important fuel for your body. Drinking low-fat milk is also a better choice than drinks sweetened with sugar. Always remember, water and low-fat milk are the best choices for a healthier you. You can drink more water. Even small changes can help. Keep bottled water nearby. Drink water instead of soda or pop. And drink water whenever you are thirsty. Doing these things can help you drink more water every day. To add flavor to your water, you can add fruits such as lemon, lime, or orange wedges. Everyone can practice 5210. You don't have to do it alone. You can get your friends and family involved by practicing together. Remind each other to eat 5 fruits and vegetables. Keep your screen watching to 2 hours or less. Get up and move with physical activity at least 1 hour a day. And don't drink sugary drinks. Practice 5210 every day for a healthier and stronger you. If you have any questions about the content of this program, talk with your healthcare provider.
This video is just a really simple, fun way to remember these healthy habits. And kids also like to do this. It's an easy reminder to them. Say, where are we with 5210? And then given we're now in remote learning, where so much of our day is already on screen time, the number 2 there, the screen time, becomes even more important. They, by necessity, are going to be on screens, in many cases, more than 2 hours a day to do their schoolwork. So we then really want to look at what other screen time are they on? Can we encourage the hour of physical activity, finding other things to do? This is a challenging time for everyone with screen time of all sorts. You might also look on their phones or iPads or the devices they use. They all now have a feature that will show you the minutes that your child has been on their screen. I know myself, I'm often surprised when I look at my own device or my children's device and see those minutes have really added up. So in this time of remote learning, we really want to draw your attention to, in the time they're off their screens, they're done with their school time, to really encourage them to find other more physical things that they could be doing. We, as the nurse team, are so pleased to have had the chance to introduce you to the nurse team, to let you know what are some of the things that we do, and to encourage you to know that we are your health partners within the school district. You are welcome and encouraged to call us, to contact us through your school or through the Office of School Culture and say, hey, I need to talk to my nurse. We are there for you. We can help connect you with the resources in the community, as well as keeping your child safe at school through the development of the care plans, the emergency plans, and making sure we have all the medications available. As we're dealing in this time of remote learning, please feel free to call us too. You may need some extra support or help with either you or your children with how to manage this difficult time. So please feel free to contact us and let us continue to be your partners in the Lansing School District. Thank you.
Thank you very much, nurses. That was a wonderful presentation. I just entered in the chat to please enter any questions you have in the Q&A box. So I'm waiting for those, but as we wait, I'll ask a question. So what is the policy regarding if a student were to throw up at school? What is the time frame that they may return back to school?
Oh, there we go.
Go ahead, Sue.
Oh, the district has a policy in place that children must be out of school 24 hours if they vomit at school. So if this happens at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, then your child needs to stay home the next day because we need 24 hours to go by. And especially as we're dealing with the global pandemic and we're about to enter flu season, we want to be very careful about that. So we really encourage parents to keep their child home per the district policy for 24 hours.
Thank you. I'm looking for other questions. Well, I have another question. If you feel comfortable answering, what would be your recommendations regarding whether or not that children should obtain a flu shot?
My recommendation is that everyone 6 months and above should receive a flu shot. And that, talking about not just children now, that includes pregnant women. So everyone 6 months and above.
Thank you. Please continue to add questions to the Q&A box. And I'm looking, so I'll ask another question. What is the policy regarding head lice in school in terms of students, and are classmates notified if a student has head lice?
The head lice policy is such that we want to take into consideration what exactly we're talking about. So if we have like a child that has live nits that we can see in the hair, then we do ask that parents come to pick their student up to take them home to get treatment right away, because in that case, it's really easy to spread. And we actually follow the same policy as the Ingham County Health Department, so we use guidance from them. If there are nits only and no live lice, we can keep the student until the end of the day. And then at that time, you know, before the end of the day, we would notify the parent that this is the situation and that they will need to be checked when they get home and treated for head lice. And then in terms of letting other students and, you know, classmates know, we do keep the identity of the student with head lice confidential. So if there are live lice, there will be a letter that goes home with every student in the classroom, just to notify parents that there has been lice identified in the classroom, but there are no personal details about that student identified in that information.
Great, thank you. We have a question from a parent. The parent wanted to know, when will nurses at schools be available to talk with parents and students?
The nurses are available now. You can call us through our office phone number, which you can get. If you call your school, they'll let you know who your school nurse is. So you'll be sure to connect with the correct nurse. You can find us through the Office for School Culture at 755-2800, or you can email us through our Lansing School District email, and we would be happy to speak with parents at this time now.
I have another question. When should parents keep kids home if they're not feeling well? So if a kid just says, I have a headache, I have a stomach ache, what would you guys recommend in terms of when to or when not to keep kids home from school?
So I believe all of the nurses are parents. Is that right? Yes, we're all parents. So we've all been there. We understand completely. So it can be tricky. We realize that you get up and mornings are hectic and you're trying to do breakfast and beating the clock for that bus and to get them to school on time. And they're saying, but I don't feel good. And you're trying to figure out, is it a spelling test today? Or is it something, did they go to bed late? Did they have a nasty dream? Or are they truly sick? So it's a hard assessment to make in the mornings, we understand. But some of the things that are very easy to determine are if they have a fever. So if they have 100 degrees or above, they absolutely shouldn't come to school. If they have a 99 and other stuff going on and they're just not quite right, I would keep them home. If they vomited, if they've had diarrhea, please keep them home for 24 hours until that's finished. What else? What other things might I have? Think about that you'd want to consider. If they just have a really miserable cough, a runny nose, if they are not going to get anything out of being at school today, if they can't focus on what's going on, if they're really not going to benefit from a day in school, then it's worth keeping them home. We've already talked about head lice. So anything contagious, if they have a rash, we never know if a rash is contagious or not. So you will want to get that checked out by a medical professional to see if they're able to come back. Sore throats and headaches can be tricky. If the sore throat is more than just a tickle, if it's a real lump in that throat, truly painful, keep them home. Again, get medical assessment for that. Headaches, you might want to think about what if they had to drink, what if they had to eat, is this a pattern? Do they have ongoing headaches? Could it be from stress? So headaches can be tricky, but if it truly is debilitating, then again, you're going to want to keep them home and have a doctor check them out. Of course, if you do have questions, you can always call in to the Office of School Culture and catch one of the nurses, and we'll help you make that decision.
Thank you very much. We have another question from the audience. What is the policy if bed bugs are found on a student in a classroom?
The bed bug policy. So what we do is usually the student will be sent down to the clinic, if there's a clinic in the school, or the designated other healthcare consultant provider, like a secretary or someone like that. And so like for me, when I get a student at Gardner with bed bugs on their on their items in their locker or on their clothing. I just kind of do a really respectful once over to check, to see if there are more. I do take the bed bug and I put it into a container that it can be identified later and confirm that it is a bed bug. And the parent is called and notified, this was found on your child, to just let them know, if you're not aware of bed bugs, they could be in the home. And if you definitely don't have bed bugs, then, be on the lookout because they're so, I don't know if contagious is the right word, but they definitely like to multiply quickly. So it's a good thing for families to know if their child has a bed bug found on them. And then what we do next is we actually contact Sodexo, which is the custodial company that the school district contracts with. And we have one of their people come to identify it. And then there are other cleaning procedures that will take place on the weekend when no one's in the building. But before that happens, there's a letter that goes out to all families who are going to be impacted by that cleaning, just in case there's anybody who might have a sensitivity to pesticides, to let them know that the classroom where their child attends is going to be cleaned and fumigated potentially.
Thank you. I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask because I think others may be wondering or they may be confused about it. What is the policy if a parent were to send their kid to school with Tylenol and say the kid can have the Tylenol? What should be the response of administrators and teachers? If they just send them with Tylenol and there's something from a doctor, what's the response?
Well, the good news is we showed earlier in the presentation the medication form. So if your child needs any medication at school, we really have to have the form filled out and signed by the parent. We just do not want to be too spontaneous about that someone wants to send in medicine. We under no circumstance like kids to carry in medication. Kids are very nice. They like to share what they have. So we just might never know where that medication would end up. So if your child needs medication, even if it's just Tylenol at school, we would ask that you sign the medication form and send the medication in the bottle it comes in labeled, so we would have no mistake about what you would like your child to have, the time and how much and when they had it last. It's just too many places that something could go wrong if we don't stay pretty strict about those guidelines.
Can I add something to that?
Sure you can.
Even when kids have the best intentions and they know not to share their medication, another worry that we have, and something that we've seen actually quite frequently, is that they don't intend for it to go anywhere but in their pocket or in their own body, but then it will end up on the floor or someplace like that where another student could pick it up. And I have a container actually of like loose, lost, homeless pills that have been found over the course of a couple of years in the building, which I'm really grateful when I look at that little container because it means that nobody else took it who it wasn't intended for, but it just is a good reminder to just always play it safe and don't send any medication in with your student. Just bring it right to the office.
Thank you. Are there any more questions from parents for our nurses? We have our wonderful nurse staff here. I guess it's back on me to ask a question. But what recommendations would you have now that the weather is starting to change for our students? On my way to work today, I saw quite a few kids riding their bikes, walking with short sleeve shirts still on. What recommendations do we have in terms of clothing, or is it still okay to kind of dress like it's summer? What are you guys' thoughts about that?
It's tricky. I've had kids and teenagers in particular. That's where I struggle. They didn't want to wear their jackets to school. In fact, for my kids, they didn't want to wear their jackets to school because it meant they'd have to stop at the locker and put them in their locker, and they just didn't feel like it. So yeah, kids will often choose to dress how we may judge to be inappropriately for the weather. I think it's easier for young kids to insist that they dress appropriately. I think that's less of an issue. Having said that, kids lose their gloves, they lose their hats. Many of the schools will have additional clothes that we can lend out to families, but we do ask that you please wash and return them because we have a limited supply. I think it comes down also just to education, good modeling, making sure that we dress appropriately ourselves, that we perhaps when we're reading books to them point out, oh, it's a cold day, it's a snowy day, they're wearing their hat, they're wearing their gloves. So there are different ways that we can learn, different ways that we can hopefully educate the kids to do things appropriately. You also mentioned riding bikes. I do remember this past winter, I saw a couple of students that were hurt riding their bikes to school because it was an icy day. So that's something else that parents might want to think about. Perhaps they don't ride on the bus and they typically take their bikes, but it may be safer to walk on those icy days. Falling off a bike can really lead to some nasty injuries.
And I would add to that, Becky, with the high school kids, it almost is not sort of worth the fight. We see kids in high school that are wearing shorts 12 months out of the year. They might wear a hoodie and a pair of shorts and head off to school. And we say maybe don't pick that battle. They do not have recess in high school. They come in the building and they stay in the building. So maybe focus the attention more on the younger ones. If your child's going to be going to recess, for example, if they're in kindergarten or first grade, we do really appreciate it if you send them with the snow pants, the boots, the hats, the nice warm jacket, because they will be outside for quite a little bit. So that way we can keep everybody comfortable. We do save some outdoor wear at school, but not enough for the whole school. So we would focus more, I think, of our attention on the younger kids that go outside for recess. If your high schooler, though, says, no, I want to wear a hoodie and a pair of shorts to school, then we say, okay, come to school. We're just happy to have them come in school.
Definitely.
And I just wanted to add, for the students with asthma, we do recommend they wear a scarf on the cold Michigan days to try and warm that air going into their lungs.
Sounds good. Well, thank you very much to our nursing staff. We appreciate you guys. I'd like to thank all of the parents for joining us for this edition of our Parent University. We received some very invaluable information this evening. Please encourage other parents, other community members to join us. Also, please join us next Tuesday, September 29th, when we will have representatives from Child and Family Services here to talk with us about the service they provide, from substance abuse counseling to individual and group counseling, issues related to attendance. There's all types of supports they provide for our community. Please join us next Tuesday. Again, nurses, thank you guys very much. Any closing words you guys like to leave our participants? Closing words? We asked another question. No, I'm just joking.
Yes.
Any closing words?
Thank you so much. And we hope that we'll get to speak to as many parents as possible over the next few weeks.
All right. Thank you guys again. Again, please join us next Tuesday for Parent University. My name is Kyron Harvell, Director of the STAR Grant. Everyone have a good evening, and we will see you tomorrow at school. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.